Hi, this is Nanette Hosenfeld with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Monday, September 16th, 2019. Taking a look at fire potential impacts for the next few days. Today we are looking at some very strong winds combined with low relative humidity across a pretty large portion of the Great Basin. You can see that area highlighted in orange. We're also concerned about the threat for isolated mixed wet and dry thunderstorms further east across Utah. A cold front will move into the area today, and that will bring much cooler conditions with some scattered showers to the northern and northwestern parts of the Great Basin. As we move into Tuesday, we'll see much more widespread cooler conditions with higher humidities and some scattered showers further north across the Great Basin. Then on Wednesday, we will look at winds increasing again across the southeastern part of the area, along with some lower relative humidities. Over the past 24 hours, there was not much in the way of precipitation and very little lightning. Initial attack yesterday was light. Precipitation has been well below normal across the southern part of the Great Basin, as you can see from these two maps. They're showing the percent of normal over the past 7 days and the past 30 days. And if we look at these time periods, you can see that further north across the Great Basin, there has been a fair amount of precipitation. Some areas are well above normal over the time period, but it really has been very, very dry across the southern part of the Great Basin. As a result, ERCs are the highest across the southern part of the Great Basin, where it has been quite dry. Further north, we have seen ERCs rise a bit over the past few days, but we are expecting those ERCs to drop back down pretty significantly with the cooler and wetter weather expected for the area. Continuing to look at ERCs, GB 16 and 35, which are both in the southern part of the Great Basin, are at or near record levels. Our 10-hour field moistures are also very dry across parts of southern Nevada, southwestern Utah, and the Arizona Strip, and much higher further north across the Great Basin where conditions have been much cooler and wetter. Satellite this morning shows a pretty large storm system in place across the western part of the country, and that will move through the Great Basin today. Looking at the upper level map there on the left, you can see that storm system that we're expecting to impact the area. We will see some really strong winds ahead of that system, and you can see the high risk that's been issued. That's the map on the right, with the concern for those gusty winds and low relative humidities. Looking at that in more detail, you can see from the image on the left, we are expecting very dry conditions. Any of the dark reds to pinks are below 15%, so pretty large portion of the Great Basin will see relative humidities below 15%, and it largely lines up with the area of gusty winds. The image on the right shows those expected wind gusts this afternoon in relation to that approaching cold front, and you can really see some quite strong winds there. We're expecting winds in that 45 to 55 mile an hour range today. Moving into Tuesday, that cold front moves off to the northeast. We will be left with much cooler temperatures. Relative humidities will come up a bit across the Great Basin, not too significantly, and winds on Tuesday will generally be light. We could see some gustier winds across northwestern Nevada and southeastern Utah. As we move into Wednesday, we look at another storm system dropping into the area from the northwest. This will send another cold front across the Great Basin. And you can see with that approaching cold front on Wednesday, we're again expecting some really strong winds across the area, specifically across southern and southeastern Utah. So over the next 3 days, the majority of the precipitation is expected to fall across the northern and northwestern parts of the Great Basin, as well as across portions of eastern Utah. As we move into Thursday, we have another pretty strong cold system making its way through the area. And moving into Friday, that system moves out of the area. We keep really dry conditions across the south, which is notable because, as we discussed earlier, the southern parts of the Great Basin have not seen precipitation for quite some time. So you can see in our significant fire potential map, things remain quite dry across the south. So in the Thursday and Friday time period, again, those storms moving through will mainly bring precipitation to the northern two-thirds of the Great Basin. So we move into Saturday, again keeping that dry air in place across the southern part of the Great Basin, looking at high pressure building a bit on Saturday. And then finally on Sunday, pretty similar conditions. In the 7-day period, we are expecting a fair amount of precipitation across the Great Basin, but it is quite notable to see that over the next 7 days, really little, if any, precipitation is expected across those really dry areas across southern Nevada, southwestern Utah, and the Arizona Strip. Finally, in the 8 to 14 day outlook, the Climate Prediction Center is calling for above normal temperatures across the entire area. As far as precipitation, they are still forecasting some above normal precipitation across the southern part of the area. So we'll keep our eyes on this because this would be a significant weather change for those areas. That's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter. Thank you.